Good evening or good morning, depending on where you're tuning in. I'm very impressed to see some of our New Zealand friends are already tuned in, so it's quite early for you guys. So thanks for joining us. We have over 100 people registered for this webinar, and there is an incredible international mix of attendees, which is great to see, and also a nice mix of breeders and stallion owners. What we were discussing beforehand, before we started this, is it's nice to see such an international mix in the attendees because I think that's very reflective of what we're going to discuss tonight. And even the fact that our panel is made up of three people from three different countries tuning in from three different countries. So tonight the focus is on Equisem, and it's something that's relevant to stallion owners and breeders all around the world. And you'll learn more about that as we go through tonight's talk. For anyone that has to drop out early for any reason, or if there's something that you miss, or something that you didn't hear properly, two things. If you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat. Myself and Emma are going to try and monitor the chat between us. And then the recording of this webinar is going to be made available on the Equisem YouTube channel afterwards. So this evening, I am joined by Peter Jan Steens, the founder of Equisem, and I'm also joined by Emma Thorian Helston from Sweden. Emma is a geneticist. She's the former breeding manager of the Swedish Warm Blood Stud Book, now works for herself and is busy nearly on a weekly basis giving talks to breeders all around the place, in person and online, as well as coaching various different breeders on their breeding program. So we have, I suppose we've all been brought together, or the three of us have been brought together thanks to Equisem. And myself and Emma have worked together on a number of different projects. And I think, especially for the Irish people that are tuning in or anyone that was at last year's Dublin Horse Show, she'll be a very familiar face to you. Myself and Emma we did a breeders event in 2022, and then you were back in 2023 to speak at the RDS Breeders Talk at the Dublin Horse Show. So, in various different projects that we have worked on, I think Equisem has maybe become a solution to some of the problems that or the challenges that have risen when we've been working with different groups or working in different countries. So, what I'd first like to do before we get on to hear the story of Equisem from Peter Jan, I'd actually like to just invite Emma in to discuss from your opinion, both in terms of the work you're doing by yourself and the work that we've done together. And I think we were saying earlier it was three different countries we've worked together now at this point, which is pretty cool. Um, so if you wouldn't mind just talking through the experience in those countries, the challenges, and where you see something like Equisem fitting into that. And then we'll come back to yourself, Peter Jan.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the nice introduction, Michael. And it's fascinating to see the list of participants filling with names from so many different countries for tonight's webinar. As you said, Michael, I've been working in Sweden, obviously, met the Irish breeders, and both you and I went to New Zealand for an inspirational tour in New Zealand. And what I found those countries have in common is being kind of remote. When it comes to Sweden, north of Central Europe, where most of the breeding action happens, Ireland is separated from mainland Europe with a lot of water. And when it comes to New Zealand, it's very remote from anywhere else. And it's a challenge to breed quality horses when you don't have access to all the competitions. You can't go regularly to competitions on the level that you breed for. Um, when there is no central governing, as we experienced in New Zealand, there are breed organizations in New Zealand, but there is not one governing body collecting all the information. And especially in New Zealand, it occurred to me it was very difficult to get a grip on what stallions are actually available for
Yeah.
breeders in New Zealand. And although the Swedish situation wouldn't be as much like that, or not even the Irish situation, it's sport horse breeding today is an international business. And I think most of the sport horse breeders would have pedigrees in their horses that have horses from many different countries. And when I first came across the Equisem app, it was, I think it was in August last year. I just came across it by randomly. I think it was on social media. I had to look into it, and it immediately occurred to me that, oh, this would be something to um, a place where breeders could find perhaps not all the stallions, but many more stallions. And PDM will show us the features of this app later, but you can sort the stallions within country or in different countries. So it's like a giant stallion catalog. And mostly when we are out speaking, Michael, we're talking about the importance of the mares.
Yeah.
But what everyone wants information about is are the stallions. And I think this app um, lines up the stallions in a very nice way, which we will be showed later. Um, and there is also some pretty unique information in the app that's not available in this way anywhere else. We'll come to that as well. It's still pretty new, the app, but it's already very useful, and I think it has a lot of potential. But since it's an app for breeders made by a breeder, it's more like a community than commercial app, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Emma. And I also just to mention, both myself and Peter Yan are currently on full watch here. So I have a camera beside me. So excuse me if you're seeing uh, my eyes drift to the folding camera here every so often. If you see me run in a panic, Emma will Emma will take over if the mare decides to fold. She's overdue at the moment. And yeah, so we're just waiting on her, and I expect it to be tonight. Peter Yan's in a similar situation. Unfortunately, if he leaves, we don't have someone as readily available to cover the Equisem talk. But um, there's a
Excuse
few.
me, Michael, there is already a question in the chat. And
Oh
it seems
yes,
like I can't write an answer, so we'll have to address them
yeah,
like this.
we'll address them verbally. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, we will be covering that, Kerry. But the the app is free for breeders. We can touch on it later in the talk, but in terms of stallion owner or stallion agents involvement on the app, there are various packages that are available that people can discuss with Peter Yan. And also because of tonight's webinar, Peter Yan has agreed to give a 20% discount on those packages until the end of May. So for any stallion owners tuning in, there is an extra benefit for you having joined us here. If you follow up with Peter Yan afterwards and reference the webinar, you can get a 20% discount on your chosen package. But in terms of breeders, it is completely free. So I think one of the things that I think brings us all together, well, there's a few things. I think we all really enjoy doing things for the industry and doing things for breeders and bringing people together and bringing information together. Any of you that have met any of the three of us previously or been at any event that we've been involved in, We definitely share uh, maybe themes, ways of working, and passions. So back in September of last year, uh, Emma and Peter Yan had gotten in touch, or you had found Equisem in August, as you mentioned. You guys met up then at the Young Horse World Championships, I believe, and then contacted me to see would I meet up with Peter Yan the following week when I was at Valkenswaard for the young horse trophy, or their new young horse class there. So we met up for a quick chat, and I'm not sure how many hours that quick chat took, because we got so carried away in discussing stallions, and it was very, very clear, and it'll become very clear to you guys when you're listening to Peter Yan, that he is a fellow breeder who is incredibly passionate about what he does. And you don't meet a huge amount of people in the industry who are really, really trying to do something greater than themselves. We're all very passionate about our own mares and our own breeding programs, but it's a very small amount of people who go and try to create something or build something beyond themselves. So that's why, for me, straight off, you feel with Peter Yan, you want to support him in terms of what he's trying to do. And it became very, very clear that this wasn't a commercial endeavor. This was really to try and um, bringing information together in a really transparent way to make it available to breeders. So we've had a few chats since, and in a chat there in April, we were going to have a quick chat. I think it was another 2.5 hour Zoom call, and just like the passion and the enthusiasm just oozes out of this man. And I was thinking, it's absolutely crazy. There's so much work and effort is being put into this. And I thought the industry needs to hear about this. There needs to be an opportunity where people can come together and at once hear this, because he's only one person and there's only so much time. And you also uh, have other work that you need to do outside of Equisem. So I thought this was a really nice way to do this, and also to record it and to make it available then on the YouTube channel, because while the rest of us have played around with Equisem, nobody, I think, could communicate it as passionately as Peter Yan. Um, so it's a nice time to bring you in. What I would like to hear is, could you give us a little bit of background on yourself in terms of as a breeder? So what you're breeding, where you're located, and then how and why did you decide to create Equisem? And then we can move on to actually how how the platform works, and we'll go through a few different case studies and ways that people can use the information.
Okay, thank you, Michael and Emma, for the nice words. Yeah, so I am a small breeder from Belgium. I breed 2 to 3 foals each year. And I'm also currently working for Horstelex. And my passion for breeding, I'm always looking for different stallions, other options. And what I notice is that it's really difficult to, even if I'm in the center of all the breeding industry, it is difficult to find all the information, and you spend a lot of time looking for the right, correct data. They are available in different ways, but it takes so much time to find it. And sometimes I found it and then I didn't got back to it. I didn't found it again. So I lost it, and a lot of frustration around that. So in my head started to grow ideas to make something. I saw popping up other ideas with people. So I modify my ideas. I talked with stallion owners about it, and after a few years, I said, okay, now it's time to really do something. It's gonna cost a lot of effort and a lot of time, but it's time to really do something. And yeah, I just put the plan on paper and we developed the app. And yeah, I'm really happy with the result, and I hope it can keep on growing. the idea was also always to open it for the whole world. Because I also see in countries that it's more difficult to know which stallions are available. The prices are different. You don't know where to get it sometimes. It looks really easy for some people, but for others it's difficult. So I want to make it, yeah, that it's easy for everybody to use.
Yeah, and something else that I meant to mention, I think what's nice, apart from it being clear that you do this for the greater good, sometimes a lot of stallions are successful because of the volume that they get, and we'll touch on that kind of theme. But sometimes it's the marketing power or the financial resources behind a stallion, behind a stud farm or behind a stallion really give them an added advantage. I think what's nice with Equisem is that it's all um, objective information. It's not, you can't really embellish it. It's not, and it can't really be influenced overly by marketing. And what's nice on the platform is whether you're a stallion owner that has one stallion that you really believe in and that you want to give the chances to, but you don't have the customer base or the marketing resources that some of the bigger players might have, every stallion gets the same opportunity and is presented in the same way. And even with the advertising on your site, that you won't allow stallion owners to avail of the advertising because you don't want to be giving preferential treatment or unfair advantages to one stallion over another. So it's another thing that I think you should be commended on. So we'll jump into it. If you wouldn't mind sharing your screen and bringing up Equisem. Just while you're doing that, as we're going through the talk, please feel free if there's a question that attendees have about it, please feel free to put it in the chat. Myself and Emma will keep an eye on that as we go, and then we'll bring in the questions at suitable times. We will try and deal with everything. And so Peter Yan is going to go through a few different scenarios as if you were coming at this, um, if you had gone to the website and you have a particular mare in mind and you're looking for stallions that meet the criteria. So we're going to go through a few different case studies. If we have time at the end, and if both our mares haven't started foaling, what we might try and do is if we might try and take one or two examples or kind of we call it practice tests from some of the attendees that are with us at the moment. So back to you, Peter Jan, if you want to just give us a run through.
Yeah, I first want to say, so it's easy to find. You can open it in mobile or on the computer, and you can select here English, German, French, or Spanish as a language. It's not all the complete languages, but we chose for the bigger groups of breeding industry that can cover, just so everything is clear. All the, like Michael says, all the commercial, all the stallions, they are randomly chosen by the computer, and every time you're gonna open the app, you're gonna see different stallions or stallion owners appearing. So everybody has exactly the same choice, the same chance. Because it's important, I think, that you choose a stallion because of what you see and the qualities he has or he gives to his offspring, and not because you see him popping up more or there's more media around it.
Yeah.
The same with the list of stallions. It's gonna appear every time different.
And actually, I'd just like to mention something on that list. Um, like both myself and Emma work with different breeders around stallion selection. We spend a lot of our life looking up different databases, looking up different stallions, creating documents, creating lists, rankings. And what I'm amazed at is every time that I go onto Equisem, I learn about a new horse that I've already missed. And I think that's a great sign of it. And the fact that it does kind of randomly assign them, it's a very good way, even if you think you have a reasonable grasp of all the stallions that are available, this app will show you that you don't know them all.
I agree. But perhaps we should also mention that if you would like to see them in alphabetical order,
Yeah,
you can
You
choose
can,
to do
yeah,
so
yeah,
once you have seen your random selection.
yeah,
yeah, it can be handy if you really are passionate to go through the whole list. It's sometimes handy to put it in alphabetically so you know where you stayed if you do it a few days later, or
yeah.
so then
It's
you have
far,
it order.
yeah. It's a far better use of time than probably us scrolling through Facebook or Instagram. If we scroll through this, I think our breeding programs would be all the better for it.
Okay, so if you're looking for, you don't want to scroll to the whole list, but you want to go for a specific reason, you're gonna use the filtering to look for stallions that are good for what you are looking for. With the first example, we're gonna look for, we want the horse that jumps the highest level because we want somebody that has proven that he does it. We go for an age of like 15, 20. We don't want the really old ones, but we want a proven older one. Yeah, my mare wants it fresh. Yeah, and my budget this year is not so high anymore, so I go for 500 and 1,000 euros. So I do find some examples that are not so expensive and are fresh. Here we're gonna go for Emerald as an example to show. You see with Emerald where he's approved. These things you can also use in your filtering. It's sometimes important to know for the inscription of your foal. We have the sport results where we show the 5 best results per rider and a video. The idea is just to give an idea what the sport is for the horse. It's not important to see all the results, but just in a quick look that you see, okay, this stallion is possible to do this level multiple times. In this case, he wins 5 times at the highest level. There's no doubt about the quality of him in sport. The model line, we show the model line from the Grand on and up. We always put a few examples of big horses, important horses from the model line, just to have an idea. If you don't want to go to the whole model line, that you have an idea, okay, it's the model line of this stallion or sport horse. It's again like to show a piece of the model line. If you want to go in detail on model lines, there's other like Horse Telex or Ecomundo that are better for that to go in detail. Then we have the offsprings. We show always when the first generation of the stallion is born, in this case 2008, and just to give an idea that there's 45 approved sons. The sons that are in the app, they are always showing first. So in case you say, I don't want to go for Emerald, but I want to go for a son, you can go and look for a son that is available. If you want to do maybe inbreeding or something, you can go even to the son and then to a grandson, and you can keep on going in the app until you reach like Emerald in the 2nd generation or Diamant in the 4th generation. And then we have some videos from offspring to give you an idea how he breeds. You can compare easily. You just open the video and you see the sport video of different offsprings. That way you can make up your mind like, okay, I see certain things coming back with multiple offsprings. If you need to do that somewhere else, you need to really go and look to all the offsprings, and yeah, it's a complex thing. We have stud books. So there's some stud books that are where you can see the amount of offsprings per year. So what we try to do in the app is to show from 2008 to 2022 all from the open stud books, all the amount of offsprings that are born. Why we do it is to give just an idea, to put it in perspective. If you see a certain amount of offsprings that you know he had breeded a lot, or he didn't breed, like he just breed in a one stud book, or to have an idea, because there's a lot of people that are telling this one breeded not so much or a lot, but what is a lot for a small stallion owner? Maybe it's 50. For a big one, it's 200. So you have an idea of the amount of offsprings he gave. So that in combination with the offsprings in sport gives a better view of what he's
Could I just add there, Peter Jan, that this is one of my absolute favorite features of your app, that you can actually see how many offspring a stallion have, not only in your country or the country where he was approved, but in all countries that he's approved. There is nowhere else that I'm aware of. And as Michael said, we are all browsing through a lot of databases. There's nowhere else that I'm aware of that you can see this type of information. You can see the number of competing offspring in both Hippomundo and Horselix, but you can't see the number of registered offspring. So this could really put things in perspective for you if you're interested in comparing the number of successful horses compared to the number of registered foals that the stallion actually got. I think it's a super feature.
Thank you. And then we have here the prices, and like you see, is available in this case in 2 places in Belgium that are also centers that are in the app. We're gonna see later an example, but if the price is different on different places, the price is gonna change. And if you want to contact them, you just click through to the page of the IE center where it's available. I'm gonna take another example. So I'm gonna go for a younger, because I want to see like for the future, but my mare needs some size, so I'm gonna go for 170, 175, and I would like to have a black one. So yeah, we have some black young ones that are promising. We're gonna go to Defender. With Defender is a young stallion, so he's approved for 2 stud books. But when you open, you see the video of the approval. You see in this case with KWPN is the numbers of the test are available, and you see that he's approved first in KWPN and the year after in Zangersheide. So you can have an idea. You have the sport results, the model line. And with offsprings, this one has his first generation offspring in 2021. So it's young, but like you see, we have multiple videos, and it's all foals or young horses that are into auction. It's nice because normally you need to wait to see, like, to have a really good view of a young stallion until they are competing in competition. But this way you can see already certain things. Plus, I think it's interesting to see that also a lot of foals of young stallions are good for in auctions or other marketing. It doesn't need to be always a proven stallion. It shows you that if it's a quality horse and it's nice breeded, it's also good if it's a young stallion. Yeah, a certain amount. And you see he has also his first approved son already. So if this one comes in the app, you can see already the approved son. So it's all information that is nice. And of course, here also you can see that the amount of offsprings that he in the stud books are registered. And of course, because he's approved in KWPN and Zangersheide, the biggest amount of foals are gonna be born there.
Vivian, we have
Yes.
a question in the chat from Christina Gonzalez. Can anybody add videos of their offspring in the app?
Yeah, later we're gonna go to that. We have an upload zone where people can upload their video, and that way we can offer more and more videos and get a better and better view of what a young stallion or old stallion produces.
So that was actually what I was talking about previously when I said this is like a breeding community where you can all contribute.
Yeah, we try to that everybody has, like, if you have a foal and it's good, or and you can present it in a nice way. Of course, the videos need to be from a certain quality. They get a quality check because it's important that the breeder can see well what he needs to see on the video. And the ideal thing is an auction foal because it's presented in a nice way. But it doesn't need to be if it's a nice presented horse at home or free jumping. It's always nice to have a bigger amount of videos, and that's why we're working to have a community that uploads the videos. You're in a competition and you take a video, you can upload it.
There is another question. Is the app available on App Store, or how do you get hold of it?
No, this we had before, and the app in the App Store. This is another type of app, and it's just you can just open it in any browser on equisem.be. So, or you can just put Equisem in Google and you find it, and you can just open it and use it. I want to go too fast to a few examples. For example, this stallion is just to show that he has, for example, multiple riders where he rides at the highest level. So I think it's also important to show that it's with multiple riders, because it also gives you an idea that it's not only with a top rider, but maybe also with a rider that is just a level under the highest level. It gives you information about rideability, or how good the horse like works for different persons. It's not just a connection with one rider. Yeah, we try to show as much as possible. Then we have here example of Milo Cartago, and we want to use it because we have multiple AI centers in different countries. We have them in Sweden, in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in France. We have them in Mexico. So all the different ones, and if you click on it, you're gonna see the prices. So it's frozen in all the countries besides in France, where he's standing. It's the only place where you can have him fresh. So it's important also to know, because we in Belgium or in Holland, we think like, okay, he's fresh available, so they're just gonna send it. Like with other stallions, but this shows like, okay, it's not, and the technical fees and things are also different per country, so it's important to know. And that way we try to show all the different prices and places where it's available. And the idea is that it grows to a worldwide thing, that everybody, that you have a provider or a partner in each country, or in as much as possible countries. So not only we in Central Europe know it, but also all the other countries. Also can change here from euro to dollars if it's in USA, or like it can change for each country. What we also want to show is that it's really important to show the first generation of foals, because I noticed that a lot of people think of an older stallion, there's nothing in sport, and don't realize that sometimes stallions start breeding on a later age. So Cartello is a good example of this, because he's from 2007 and started breeding in 2017. So it shows you, okay, it's the first generation is, you see, 2017, and they are jumping 6-7-year-old ones. So you realize, okay, it's not, there's other examples of stallions that start on a later age. So it's not because they are older that you put a filter of older that the generations need to jump on a certain level. So I think it's nice to show it this way. this is the upload zone. So you can just click upload your video or take your video, fill in the information and upload the video.
So just on that, if say for instance, if people already have videos uploaded to YouTube, things like that, that's not going to work. They have to upload
Yeah,
the original
yeah.
file.
If you have a link, you can always send by email and we can work it that way also. But the idea is that it's fast uploaded and it's much easier to see also which horse it is and check if the quality is okay. And
And if breeders have a particularly nice foal that they're really proud of and they have a nice video from home and they'd like that to be included, can that be submitted, or is the preference to have show videos and auction videos?
no, but it's important that you see the quality of the
Mhm.
foal. So you need to see the movement, you need to see it on the side that you can see how it's built. But it doesn't need to be a show video or an auction video, but it needs to be well presented. And a video just wild running in the field alone, it's not gonna be good enough
Yeah.
for. But yeah, everything that can show something that brings something extra to the offspring of the stallion, it will be added to the.
And when when a breeder is submitting the information, submitting the video, what level of detail of information do you require? Like, do you require a copy of the passport or proof of bloodlines?
Yeah, it shows different fields to fill in, like the
Okay.
name of the horse, the father, because what we do, we don't only show the horse, but we also put a bit of information with it, the year of birth, the stud book where it's born, because all those things are important to see. If you want to see the numbers, that you know, okay, it's born in this stud book, it's one of those 70 foals from that year. Um,
Yeah,
but
and something that I don't think we touched on tonight, but when you're looking through the offspring of a particular stallion and going, okay, the oldest, say for instance, Cartello there, that the oldest are 2017, so they're only coming seven. Most of the offspring are going to be five, six, seven that are in that. But because you put in the dam sire of all those, at a quick glance, you can see, are there with any particular stallion that has enough offspring, you can start to see, are a lot of the successful ones, are there commonalities coming up? Like, are a lot of them out of the same dam sires or similar dam sires? And then maybe people have a mare by that, and it can kind of give clues. Like this app or any particular database or app is not necessarily going to tell you the exact stallion that you need to use. But there are so many stallions in the world that this will just help you narrow down the available options based on the criteria that you put into it.
Mm.
So the kind of nearly the better the quality of information that you can put in terms of like the specifics on what it is that you're looking for, I guess the better the results that are going to come back to you.
On that subject, we have a couple of more questions.
Okay.
So from Ilse Bosch, she asks you, not all stallions available all over the world are obviously in this app
Yes.
yet. Do stallion owners need to send it to have them shown in the app, or what is the procedure? How do a stallion owner get their stallion in the app?
yeah, so because the app is free, we have, like we said in the beginning, we have packages for stallion owners to pay to put the stallions in the app. We try to keep the cost as low as possible, but we also need to develop things. So it's the meaning that's the way how the money comes in for the app. And of course, not all the stallions are in there, but in this moment, we have more than 400 stallions. And of course, there's much more stallions, and we hope to complete it, but we're gonna keep on growing each year until we have we hopefully can offer all the stallions, and the more are in there, the more you can compare and see what you are looking for and find your stallion that you believe in and you think this is the one for my mare.
And just in case anyone missed it at the start, as Peter Yan said, there are different packages that are available. Um, I would, I'd strongly recommend that that any stallion owners or any agents that are on give Peter Yan an email or a call after this to discuss the packages, depending on the quantity of stallions that you'd like to advertise. The package changes, price changes. But as we mentioned at the start of the webinar, because we're doing this, uh, Peter Yan is going to give a 20% discount to any of those packages that are purchased between now and the end of May. So if you are thinking about doing it or wanted a way to up your marketing game or the exposure of your stallion, I think it's a good time and it's a good opportunity. I think the other thing that's interesting is around the idea of favorites, both in terms of as a breeder, but also what information can you give back to the stallion owners that are advertising on Equisem?
Yeah, I'm gonna go first to the ice centers
Okay.
to show also that you can save them as a favorite. So you can go on the way in to look for a stallion, but you can also say, I want to see what a specific ice center has to offer. So you have all the ice centers here, and you can filter there on your country where you want to look for your ice center. And if you open the IE center, you see the stallions that are available with that specific IE center, or it's just a partner of different ones. They're all showing there, and you can do also here the filtering and searching for a stallion that they have. And then it's easy to contact them by phone or email, or go to their website or social media to follow them. Or you can like them and you just click on liking them. The same you can do with a stallion. You put them with your favorites. Why we want to do that is because you are looking at stallions and you forget really easy what you have seen during the year. And the moment you're breeding, a lot is based on what you lately saw or what in that moment comes in your mind. But what I want to do is all the ones you like during the year or during the years that you collected, that you're gonna look in those favorites when you go and breed, and you're gonna see, okay, from my favorites, which one fits with my mare, and make it easier in the moment you're gonna need to breed. Or also to easier to know, okay, these are my favorites. You have it with your favorites, and it's easier because you know, okay, this ones I want to use maybe this year, or certain young ones that I'm following and saying, okay, this one is maybe for the future. I think it's promising. I'm not gonna use it yet, but I keep an eye on it. I'm once in a while gonna check the offsprings, see if there's new videos, if that's more in sport, and follow up the potential new stars for the future. The same with the IE centers. For to make the favorites, we ask for a login. It's a simple login, name, email, and country. Two reasons: because you can open the app on different devices, and it needs to remember your favorites. And what we want to do to the stallion owner is we can show statistics of which stallions are standing with the favorites. It gives a view of which stallions are like people are following but maybe not using yet, but that the stallion knows, okay, it's young, it's not used yet, but a lot of people have him at the favorites. So maybe next year, if the first offsprings are jumping, or it's maybe a way to give some data back and some interest. Also, if in a specific country a certain stallion is seen a lot, we can also tell that stallion owner, like, maybe it's good to look for a partner in a certain country because there's people that really want him, or yeah, to give more information on both sides.
Yeah, and for any breeders or for anyone that's using this just as a breeder, it's not that any of your specific data is going to be given. Like it's not Peter Yan is saying, "Oh, well, Michael Doherty has saved, saved this, this, and this," or it's that an overview of the stats from the users rather than anyone's specific information. In There was another question came in from from Marrakesh in Ireland. He said, super website, well done. Do you plan to add linear scoring or some advice on what type of mare suits the stallion?
Yeah, that's the thing. The idea with the app is we want to provide all the information to make up your mind yourself. We don't want to go in advising what is best, or we want to give you everything needed from all the stallions to make up your own mind. And it's gonna help you. Like Michael says, you can see certain patterns going back, like dam sires that are coming more or that are more heavy. So you know, okay, it fits better with a certain mare. You're gonna find the information, but we're not gonna put it like this is good for you.
Yeah. And actually, just as an example, one of the examples that you brought up there where you were looking at the younger stallions in one of your searches there, could you just pull up Defender VDSZ as again, please? Because something that came up then, just for anyone that missed it, was in Defender and in his approvals, Peter Yan has his scores that he got from the Kedwell PN. So again, it's you have a stud book or sorry, an independent party scoring them in terms of the different attributes. So just even as a starting point, like a lot of the different pieces of information that are available, sometimes it's just you're trying to decide on stallions and maybe something you see here, maybe rideability is really important to you and mentality, and he scores really well. So that's another maybe tick in the horse's favor. So again, it's what's great is that the information is in, it's objective. It's not Peter Yan saying this is my opinion or this is what you should use. It's like a stud book or a selection panel of a stud book has come up with this information and inputted it there. If anybody has any, say, specific examples in terms of thinking of a mare at home and going, I want a mare that has, or I want a stallion for a particular mare. You don't need to give the details of the mare in terms of her name or pedigree or anything like that, but just if there were two or three things that you were looking for, it might be stallions that have competed to a particular level or a particular age or a particular price or are available, their semen's available in a particular way. Put some of those in the chat as we're going, and we'll try to do two or three as an example of the types of horses that will come up in the search results um, for you.
So Pidian, if there is a mare owner or breeder that are looking for a specific stallion and they don't find it in the app, what would be your advice to that breeder? What can they do to encourage the stallion coming into the app?
Yeah, it's I'd always tell people, because I get sometimes an email like I'm missing this stallion, and we're trying to be as complete as possible and to offer good terms for stallion owners, but it's good to always motivate your stallion owner to enter. It's not a big cost, and it brings you a lot of value, and it helps if everybody works together. We can build something really nice together that all the information is there. So it's just a matter of motivation, and the more people using it, the more people are entering stallions, the better it gets, the more people are also happy to use it, and so it's just motivation.
Because I really like, I think in the past few days, I showed you guys one of my sheets there where I was drawing things out, writing things out and lists by hand. And I really like the option where you can look at a particular stallion that's, say, really successful or high in the rankings or something like that, but that maybe their time has come and gone. And it's not that they're a bad stallion, but just with breeding, you want everything to be evolving and moving forward and focusing. For me personally, as a breeder, I'm more interested in focusing on the sons and grandsons of those successful stallions rather than going back to breed to something that might be already 20 something years old. But I really like that you can maybe go to your kind of foundation stallion almost of interest and go sons or grandsons or great grandsons, and then you can look them up individually and maybe which one has the best which one's from the best family or looks the most promising or has the traits that meets your mare the best. But it's a great way of keeping in touch with like the promising youngsters that are coming through of a stallion of interest. Kerry Anderson's first off the mark. So what she would like is a proven stallion with 1 meter 50 plus offspring. So we're gonna have to do it a different way, aren't we? Because the level of the offspring isn't in at the moment. So just
No,
their own
not
level.
yet. Should we say yet?
Yet, exactly.
Yeah, we're always
Um,
trying to improve, so we're trying to take all the things in count for updates.
yeah, now I hope when I say this I don't get you completely tortured, Peter Yan. But if if somebody's using this and they think it would be really, really helpful for me or for breeders if this type of information could be available, or this filter, or this, if the information was presented in this way. I don't mean in terms of completely restructuring the website, but if you thought the addition of A, B, or C would really improve my experience of using Equisem, do feel free. Peter Yan is always very, very, very open to discussing things. He keeps lists and probably endless pages of ideas, and then when the time and the funds allow, tries to incorporate the best of those into it. Equisem is evolving the whole time, so I would encourage you, if you have an idea, um, don't waste it. Put it in an email and send it to Peter Yan, and at least then he can save it, and when the time comes, can incorporate some of those. Um,
Who
so
knows? Perhaps one day even linear scoring.
exactly. In terms of Kerry's search, the fact that it's not a hot temperament, you can't really probably get into that sort of specifics. Will you actually just click on the filter, and then it'll show people what? So you have where they're approved, age, size, color, semen type, their own sport level, their own price, and the country. Um,
Perhaps
so
we should come just a short comment on the temperament side, because that's the type of information that you really can't find anywhere, not an objective opinion on the temperament of a stallion, not even among the breed organizations that have a lot of information, for example, linear scoring, because temperament is really difficult to score in an objective way. So for that, you would have to know people that have ridden their offspring. But we hope perhaps in the future that that type of information can be produced. But for the moment, there is no such information
yeah,
available.
but I think um this this platform does leave clues. So there's already been a horse that Peter Yan used as an example.
Yes.
And just if you go back to Chaco Blue 2 for a moment, Peter Yan. So this isn't to say use one horse or use the other, especially without knowing the particular mare that's of interest. But I think, again, if you look at the information and approach these things rationally, and you see a horse that is 2007, 17, still competing at the top level, and then in terms of the information that's available here, so he's available. It's coming up here, fresh and frozen. So then if you go into the sport results again, please, just for anyone that missed it or hadn't tuned in at this stage, in terms of even rideability, Peter Yan was using this as a case study with Chaco Blue 2. Some horses are a success because they were produced throughout the bulk of their career by someone incredibly talented, and maybe they weren't easy, but someone persevered with them, or one particular person really molded them. But just this was the stallion that you used earlier, where you have a horse with four different riders and probably four different types of riders uh, competed at a top level. So again, it's like it's to look at those sort of things would indicate kind of positively in the direction that you're talking about, Kerry, with the information that's available on the likes of Chaco Blue too. But then there'll be other traits that you have to decide, is it a suitable match? It might tick those, but then maybe type on type, or for some other reason you decide is suitable or not suitable.
So there was a question coming in the Q&A section, so I don't think everyone can see it. It's Pat Magner, who has a very good mare, which has successfully bred 4 foals to Chaco Blue, number 1 then, himself.
Yeah.
How could the app help me identify a suitable replacement for Chaco Blue?
If people don't want to use the Chaco Blue himself, you can, like Michael says, you can go maybe to a son. So we have specific, like, certain sons available, younger, older ones, and you can look for a son that maybe is nice to use. So you see, we have certain options, and then you can see, and you can go on, like Michael says. If you go for the son, you can go even for a grandson, so you go for even a generation more far. And then you see also, like, it can also be a nice alternative if you want to stay in the same blood, but go for younger stallions or other types.
Um, so there's just Kerry has followed up, and I'm not sure if this is currently available, Peter Yan. I know it's available. It's available in some of the databases, but for example, if you have an emerald mare and you're trying to see any say top performers out of mares by emerald, for example, to see what combinations are crossing well. Can you do that in the app at the moment?
No, but if you can see, for example, if you're thinking of a stallion, and you want to see if a certain mix is there, you can see with the offsprings and look. For example, here I see already the Baladu Rouet coming back. So if you think, okay, it's a good match on a mare, you can see, and you can see here, like, how many have that dam sire, and in that way. But there, we have been thinking to have a filtering on that to see, but then you also need to keep in count the level of sport. So it's a bit more complicated. We're not there yet, but it's certainly something we want to keep in, like, to put as a filter. But you always need to realize also that certain mixes, that certain stallions are standing in the same stallion owner, and that the breeder is always going to the same. So you're gonna have, in this case, Chacun Blue with Paul Chocomel and Ballot du Rouet. So you're gonna have more this mixes than with other stallions. So it's also important to not, you can use it and it can be a good combination, but always keep in mind, if it comes from the same stallion owner, that it is
Yeah.
logical that it comes more.
Yeah. And I think we're 3 individuals that are all quite open. And even though Peter Yan works part-time for Horse Telex, just on Hippomundo, there is, I don't know if Horse Telex has it, but on Hippomundo, there is an option there where you can do best stallion for my mare. And again, it doesn't get into traits. So again, only just take it as a tool to give you an indication. But you can put in your mare, and because of what that mare is by, it will give you a list of any of the successful offspring that are in the database that are out of emerald mares. So again, it's another tool that might just put you on a path to finding a stallion that maybe you didn't think about, and because it might show you that there are 5 top performing horses by a particular stallion all out of emerald mares, and you think, oh, I didn't actually consider him. So again, it's another tool. Um, Emma, do you want to take Ashley Deegan's one in the Q&A? Or do you want to give any thoughts on it?
Let me just read it. I always okay.
And maybe read out the question for people that don't
yeah, the
hear.
question is, I always hear people say the mare needs a stallion with blood. what does this mean? And is there anywhere on the app where I can see blood percentages? Okay, so in general, when people today say that this horse has a lot of blood, or is a blood type, or in this case the mare needs a stallion with blood, there are two things: either referring to the temperament of the horse, where riders says this horse has a lot of blood, it's more hot-tempered, it's more energetic, and I think the concept originally comes from the thoroughbred. Horses with more thoroughbred in them, when thoroughbreds were crossed into the heavier warm blood breeds, got more of the thoroughbred traits. And you can also refer to a blood type horse, which would be a more refined type of horse, a more noble type of horse. So it could either refer to the temperament or to the type of horse, the build of the horse. And you ask if there is anywhere on the app where you can see blood percentages. I don't think there is, PDN, but you can in other databases, some other databases. What to keep in mind when you read these figures is that that's a theoretical blood percentage. Actually, the only time you can tell how much thoroughbred genes, because it's referring to thoroughbred genes, how much thoroughbred genes a horse have, it's in the first cross. If you cross an 100% non-thoroughbred horse with a thoroughbred, the offspring will be 50% thoroughbred. And then for the next generation and the next crosses, you will never be able to tell if it's the thoroughbred genes that gets passed on or if it's the other genes that gets passed on. So you can calculate an average percentage that's possible that the horse have, and that's what's done in, for example, Horse Telex and Hippomundo. But I would advise you to have a look at the horse, or if you ride the horse, does it feel like a blood type horse? Does it look like a blood type horse? Then it's possibly a higher thoroughbred gene percentage than for a coarse horse or a horse that's phlegmatic. So don't rely too much on the thoroughbred percentage in the databases, but you use your eyes and your feel firsthand.
Definitely. I think it's something that for a few years in Ireland, probably because of our relationship with eventing and the eventing market, people became very fixated with percentages. And like the horse can't read its percentage. And it became a situation where there were eventing buyers would only come and look at a horse if it had like 75% blood because that's what people were hearing. But you could like all horses with the same percentage are not going to be equal. You could have
Mm.
horses that are somewhat cold that have a high thoroughbred percentage on paper because like that it's taking an accumulation from 8 or 9 generations in terms of just paper. And you could have a blood horse that doesn't have a high percentage. You could have a cold horse that does have a high percentage. Um, but yeah, so that's why I like that you're saying about your feeling.
There are some smaller investigations showing that in general successful eventers, for example, have a higher theoretical thoroughbred percentage than what other sport horses in general have, but it's an average, so it wouldn't tell you what a specific horse is like.
And as you said, if people are interested, even at curiosity, seeing percentages, as you said, Horse Telex, Hippomundo, both have them. If you're wondering what your own horse, what the percentage is, you can have them inputted into the database if they're not already in there. And I would recommend that all your mares go into both Horse Telex and Hippomundo to have them in. There's no reason to not have them in. But also, if you're thinking of a particular cross, and again, out of curiosity, I wouldn't let it guide your breeding decisions. But when you do on Horse Telex, they have a very useful tool that I like, and it's a hypothetical mating. So if you're thinking about a particular cross with your mare and you want to see what the pedigree looks like, maybe from to avoid inbreeding, maybe to deliberately try it or try line breeding or to see what that thoroughbred percentage is, you type in the name of the stallion that's of interest, you type in the name of the mare, but the mare has to be in the database and it will give you the hypothetical pedigree. And it's something that I've been using for years and I really, really like.
So to add to that, I would say that what I like about Equisem is that you can do a rough sorting of stallions. You can get a number of stallions that you would be interested in. Then if you want some additional information, you have the information about where the stallion is approved in what stud books. So if you're interested in linear scoring, for example, and the stallion is approved in the Swedish Warm Blood or the KWPN, you can go into those specific databases to have a closer look at their genetic profile in the linear scoring of their offspring. Or if you're interested in the thoroughbred percentage, you can go to Horstellix or Hippomundo to check that out. But in this app, you get like the first selection of stallions that would perhaps be suitable to your mares. And also you could probably get some new ones every time, as Michael said in the beginning, that you haven't seen before, which could be interesting also.
Yeah, and I just checked out of curiosity to see if there were any messages came through, and there was just one comment about stallions that were searched for um not not being there. So in order for a stallion to be in it, the stallion owners have to be involved. So the stallion owners have to take up one of the packages because without the stallion owner supporting Equisem, then there's nothing to fund Equisem and the developments and the maintenance of this. So if there are stallions that are missing, like we touched on earlier, either they're your stallions that are missing, then get on the phone or email to Peter Yan, maybe tomorrow, leave him alone tonight, because he has a mare to foal. And do see the options, see what's right for you. If there are stallions that you think you've used and you think they should be in there and you have a good relationship with the stallion owner, then do bring Equisem to their attention because maybe they're not aware of it and maybe they'd be perfectly happy to sign up to one of the packages. But yeah, don't if there's a stallion that you look for and it's not in there, it doesn't yeah, it just means that either they haven't signed up or they're not currently signed up. It's not a reflection on the stallion. Another question came in from an anonymous attendee. I didn't know that was an option. Do you use breeding values on routine to choose a stallion, or you trust your instincts? Over to our in-house geneticist.
I think that's a subject for another webinar, perhaps. But if the question was directed to me, I would say the answer is no. I think the breeding values are useful to get as a complement to what you see on the horse itself, especially on its offspring, and especially the linear scoring based breeding values, the descriptive breeding values. I think they are very useful when it comes to the details, when you have already selected perhaps a few stallions, a handful of stallions, and you want to check, does this stallion bring something to his offspring that is not compatible to my mare? Or the other way around, what traits could he reinforce that I like in my mare? So as a complement to all the other information you gather, I think the breeding values are a good tool, but I would never, ever choose a stallion on breeding values only. I think that's what's called breeding on paper, and I think you might be lucky, but it's not a way to go, I think.
And I think that's why when some stud books, and correct me if you'll have a better feel on this, but my feeling is over the past few years when I saw different breeding values produced from certain stud books, they deliberately didn't rank them high to low because I suppose the fear is that breeders will go on, who has the highest breeding value? That's who I'm going to breed to, even though it might be completely unsuitable for the mare that people are breeding off, or there's the risk that people would breed off of the number. without taking the other information into consideration.
I think so, and I think the exact number on the evaluating breeding values, because you have the evaluating breeding values from good to bad, and then you have the descriptive breeding values that are more of a not from a bad to good range. It's more what the horses look like or what they behave like over fences,
Yes.
etc. But the evaluating ones, it's not interesting if it's 143 or 141. The details in it is not interesting. It's interesting if they are above a certain level or below a certain level. But the exact number is not interesting in that case.
There
But
are
perhaps we can arrange another webinar on the subject
exactly.
of stallion selection.
Yeah. And I would mention for anyone that wasn't with us at the start when I was doing the introductions, um, if it's a thing that you want someone to review or assess or go through your breeding program and your goals and objectives and want to do it in a more focused manner, uh, by all means, reach out to Emma. That anyone that missed it at the start, Emma Thorian Helston. You'll find her website or find her on social media quite easily. If you have any difficulty, contact me and I'll pass on your details. But she helps breeders in different countries. And for anyone that missed it at the start, she was the former breeding manager for the Swedish Warm Blood Stud Book. So, as I've said before, I think if she can manage a breeding program for a country, she can definitely help you with yours. So, it's just to try and make as many people and as much information as available, as accessible as possible to breeders. So by all means, if you want to touch base with either Peter Yan or Emma afterwards, please do. I'd like just unless any other question comes in, can you entertain me on two additional searches? And if there's no more questions come in, we'll wrap it up in a few minutes. But where I think this is interesting, there's no quick way to do this. This is just in terms of time and kind of randomly looking through the the various different stallions that are already in there. But where you can hit on interesting things, you might find a stallion that has the bloodlines that are of interest to you and is competing well. Will you just search for Best of Isla, please? Because this is it's just an example, and it's not to tell everybody to go out and breed this particular stallion. Until a recent conversation with Peter Yan, I wasn't aware of this horse, but it just showed me an example. If you hit on a particular stallion, or it showed me the benefit of maybe curiosity, that if you look at a particular stallion and you see a stallion that probably isn't well promoted, um, like he's not one that a lot of breeders on will be familiar with. But this is just an example where, like what we were talking about, where you have a stallion that's competed at a good level, isn't heavily promoted, doesn't get probably huge mare numbers. But if you look at the offspring, it was one that Peter Yan had mentioned as an example in terms of strike rate, that from very, very small opportunities, a lot of the young horses are coming through. And I think that's what makes this really, really interesting. Um, that you'll occasionally hit on stallions that are really punching above their weight in terms of the opportunities that they get, versus maybe some of the other stallions who are getting 200 and 300 or more a year. So it's just another interesting aspect of this, that you never know what you might find. Um, and especially if you're looking for something different, like I think Peter Yan mentioned in his introduction, but that's something that I think we share, that interests us both, is nearly looking for the horse that's been missed, or it's punching above its weight, or something a bit new. Can I entertain the pony one? Everybody's quiet. So one that I mentioned at a recent event was just an example. So say, for instance, if you want to find the smallest sport horse stallions that are available to breed on your smaller pony mares. So we'll go, yeah. 160, 165, and we'll say, for example, you want fresh semen and you want to keep it under €1,000. That maybe you have a 138 pony, you're trying to breed a pony for the Europeans, or you have a bunch of kids coming through in the ponies and it's too expensive to be buying them, and you're starting to breed them. There's lots of different ways that you can come at this, and this is why I want to use this example, as well as I think there are one or two pony breeders in the in the attendees tonight. But it's another way of using this where if you're on the various different databases or you're looking through the different catalogs and things like that, you can spend an awful lot of time trying to find this information. Whereas in a few seconds there, Peter Yan now has gotten quite a good list of stallions that are available that are small, fresh, and under €1,000 in seconds. So it can save you a lot of time. And then maybe there's one that the blood has the bloodlines or the look or some other attributes that are exactly what you're looking for. So um I just wanted to show that example just in case those one or two pony breeders that had registered are with us at the moment. Um we'll do one more and then I think we'll wrap up for two reasons. Both we're 10 minutes off finishing up, and this mare on the folding camera has her tail cocked and she's making me nervous. So one person has come in, an anonymous attendee. I need a stallion with height, not so expensive, preferably jumping the highest level. Can you show examples in the app, please? So now maybe you already did. I'm not sure if you did this one, but we'll run through it again. 1 meter 60 performers,
Yeah.
the tallest ones, and I guess up to €1,000.
Okay.
And again, just to keep the cost down,
Fresh.
yeah, fresh or chilled. Now there'll be quite a few, but again, it'll just give you a. Oh, and actually the level as well,
Sport level.
the highest level. So 160. And again, this is something we're not going to go through every one, but this is something people can do in their own time. Again, it just shows you how quickly you can filter down the list because there are so many stallions available that it can kind of be overwhelming. Like one friend was joking that he wasn't that he was reluctant to sign up to the webinar tonight because he's actually settled on his list of stallions and he's afraid that going through Equisem is going to make is going to make him change his plans. So he didn't want to join. Um, there's a question.
There are a few questions actually. Perhaps we can address all those questions before we wrap it up.
Yes, exactly. So just for the person that had put through the stallion with height, not so expensive, preferably jumping the highest level. Like you can see very quickly, there are lots of options there that tick the boxes, and you can go through them in your own time. Patrick Hester. So hi Michael, Emma, Peter, Jan. Great webinar for the international breeding industry. Will there be a recording of the webinar available to view and circulate to breeders in Ireland and Scandinavia? Thanks, Patrick Hester. In Norway. Yes, so we've been recording all this time, and Peter Yan is going to make it available on the Equisem YouTube channel after this. Kerry is wondering, and if available for shipment to your country. Actually, that's something I don't think we did yet. If you pick, we'll say, obviously as this grows, this part will get more and more useful. But you can in the filters, you can filter by stallions that are based in certain countries.
And also, if you look for a certain stallion, let's say copycat, then you're gonna see it's available in USA, and it's also frozen available in Holland and the Netherlands. So it gives you an idea, and the idea is that more countries are gonna show up there. So you also know if you're located in New Zealand or in South Africa, that you also see who is the person that is there. That information sometimes is available on the website of the stallion owner, but not a lot of people know it or find it, and so it's easy. It's also not always all the stallions of that stallion owner, because sometimes they only import certain stallions each year, so they are not always available. So in this way, if they enter the app with their stallions or as a partner, it's going to show the breeder exactly what is there and what is not there and what are the conditions.
There was a question came in that is it possible to bring the system to the South American market? And I think that's you're in regular contact with people all over the world, including people in South America. Have you anything you'd like to add to that?
No, we have already now contact in Mexico, but it is in Spanish available, so it is nice for the market. And people that have stallions in those countries can always contact me, and it can also be in Spanish. So I speak Spanish, so it's no problem to contact me in Spanish.
Yeah. And I think that's what's great. There are no limits that you can literally be from any country. And maybe it's a case that you're thinking, well, my stallion's only available in my country. But that doesn't mean that Equisem is not relevant to what you do, because what's to say the breeders in your country aren't using it to try and find what stallions are on it or find that are available. So I think even if you're in a case where you're not exporting semen outside of your own country, for me, I still think it's worth it for two or three reasons. I think it's good in case breeders in your own country are looking, but also internationally, because it's randomly sorting horses the whole time. It's constantly raising the profile or the awareness that people around the world in our industry have of your stallion, which benefits your stallion, but also makes the offspring of your stallion more interesting to people as well. So I think it's nearly like an added knock-on benefit to the people who have supported your stallion.
You can also easy use it to promote it. If you have a custom that contacts you and says, I'm interested in stallion, and he asks for more information, you can just send the link directly to the offspring page of your stallion, for example, and he can see videos, and it can be a way to show the breeder what he brings. And it's a way of also nice promoting. Like if you can show some videos, I had stallion owners with first generation foals in the app, and it's nice because they can show the first generation foals, and
Yeah.
otherwise you just need to say that the foals looks nice, but this way you can show different falls, and it gives you a better view. So you can use the app to promote it even if it's in your own country, or you can send links to each other to say, look at this stallion, and that way it gets bigger.
We have a question here from Pat Magner has asked on the pricing, and I presume the price is per straw rather than foal deals. That Do you want to answer that, Peter Yan?
Yeah, so it says the conditions. For example, here's if you want it frozen, you pay here, for example, 400 euros in advance and 600 euros later, or just 400 per dose. So the conditions of the stallions are standing with it. So it's clear, because it depends of the stallion owner. There's some that also send just fresh semen, but you pay per dose they send. Some have a life full guarantee, then it says with the stallion life full guarantee. So you know exactly which conditions you're into, and here you can see, okay, you need to pay in advance. Some stallions have that. It always says with it. If it's not, it just shows the price, and you know, okay, this is the price I pay when my mare is full. Is carrying. So it shows you always the information. Sometimes it says it's per dose or per three straws, or the price is always there, really clear, for IE Center.
Yeah, and there's another the last one that is here at the moment is someone was saying they're joining late, so they were apologizing. But how often is the site updated? It said stallions move hands frequently and may not be available in certain countries at particular times. Now, from the in the brief time that I've known you, I'm fairly sure Equisem is uploaded at least daily. Um, I think Peter Yan doesn't seem to eat, sleep, or leave his computer. So it's I think up things are updated incredibly soon. But I'd also say if there's a stallion owner that has stallions on it or wants to have stallions on it, I would feel that there's a degree of responsibility on the stallion owner to update Equisem, as in to contact Peter Yan if there are changes to your conditions or a stallion's availability. Um, I think it would be important that you would also go the other way and update it. But
Yes,
am I right
because
in
yes, because some stallion owners they do provide the information of now this period is fresh. So you're gonna see, for example, in the beginning of the year, the first months, you're gonna see the prices with a certain stallion fresh, and I don't know in May or in June it's gonna change because then it's only frozen. So we also follow up all those things. If the stallion owner gives us the information, we show you exactly. Sometimes we also show you it's available fresh until this date. So you know, okay, I can use him, but from that date on, it's gonna change to frozen. So we try to put as much information as we can find.
perfect? That brings us really, really nicely and bang on uh to 9:30 my time, 10:30 your time. Just as a recap, depending on people will have joined us at various different points. If you'd like to get in touch with Peter Yan or Emma, please do. Um, Either through the Equisem website for Peter Yan, or if you do a search for Emma Thorian Helston, you'll find her website, social media channels, and as I said, any trouble contacting either, please just let me know, send me an email or give me a call, and I will pass on their details. For any stallion owners or agents of stallions that have tuned in, missed the start, there are about 4 or 5 different packages available for stallion owners, depending on how many stallions you want to advertise for the year. There's also an option for agents. Peter Yan can talk through the pricing on that. And because we're doing this webinar, there is a 20% discount available if you reference the webinar when you contact Peter Yan. And this has been recorded and it will be available shortly after, well, not shortly, as in not tonight. It'll be available at a later date on the Equisem YouTube channel if you want to look back at a particular section or you want to share it with people who couldn't tune in. So if there's nothing else has come in, I want to thank Peter Yan and Emma for contributing to tonight's webinar. It was really important to me that we got a chance to do this because I have just got a glimpse into the level of work and obsession that Peter Yan has in making this the best tool possible for breeders. And as I said at the start, this is purely for the greater good. This man is not is not financially motivated in terms of just doing this for commercial interests. It's a real passion project, and that's why I think both myself and Emma have, um, I suppose, been quick to try and put our shoulder to the wheel and try and support and make this more mainstream because I think I said it to you a few weeks ago when we talked about the idea of a webinar, but I want Equisem to become part of sport horse breeders' vocabulary. It's another useful tool. There's no excuse. It's literally free for breeders. There's absolutely no excuse for breeders to not be using it when they're trying to make their short or long lists. So just to thank you both again, and a big thank you. We've had people signed up and joined in from obviously the main breeding hub in Holland and Belgium. I think we've had people from Spain. We have people tune in from Mexico, New Zealand, South Africa. It has been definitely the most international webinar that I've been involved in, and it's super. It's really good to know that there's that interest, and this is really only the beginning with the level of motivation and determination that Peter Yan has. This is really only the beginning. So what I would say is Support it in what way you can. By all means, give it a share, give it a plug on your social media. It costs you nothing to do it. There's no downside. Um, if we can all help to make this better, it's better for all of us. So that's it from me. There's a few messages coming in of thanks. I don't think there's any specific question has come in since. So I'm going to end it here, and the recording will be available at a later date. So thank you all, and good night and good morning to our New Zealand crew. Any parting words from Peter, Jan, or Emma?
I want to also thank you, Michael and Emma, to support it and to be part of this great session. So thank you very much.
And
Pleasure.
thank you, Michael, for hosting. Excellent job as always.
Thanks, Emma. Okay. Bye for now, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.